You're listening to Insight Asian Fairways with Golfasian, Asia's leading golf holidays and tournaments.
Okay, welcome to the podcast, Jack.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
Possibly one of the most interesting courses in Asia, Thai Country Club. You're the general manager. Tell us a bit about Thai Country Club. I mean, it has a lot of history, doesn't it?
It does. You know, we just celebrated last September our 28th year anniversary, and already been thinking about the 30-year anniversary that's coming up at the end of 2026. So we've been around for a while, and a lot has happened over those nearly 30 years. And we still got members who joined in 1996 who are still members today. Yeah. So there's quite a few of them as well. So
they must be quite old.
You know what? They all say that to me. They were very young when they joined, and now they're considered senior citizens.
Yes.
So there's quite a few of those guys. But first of all, location-wise, we are along the Bang Natrad. We're about 45 minutes from downtown Bangkok. As you know, on that road, there's a lot of golf courses that are just on the left side of it, even the right side now. So we're on the way to Pattaya. So about 45 minutes, give or take a bit of traffic, as I'm sure you've experienced.
Yeah, so you could actually come up and play from Pattaya or Bangkok.
Yeah, so it's quite common for people to play on their way or on the way back to Pattaya.
Or on the way to the airport.
Correct. So we're only 25 minutes from the airport as well. So location-wise is pretty good for us, and it works out quite well. Location-wise, pretty good. We're 18-hole golf course, as you know, designed by an American architect called Dennis Griffiths all those years ago in 1996. Very good members course, I'll say. We keep the condition really good.
Would you say it's a hard course, or would you say it's a fair course?
When I say good members course, I mean it's enjoyable to play, which would suggest it's on the easier side than to be more difficult. We have members who play 4 or 5 times a week, so you know we've all played those courses where you feel a bit beaten up afterwards. It's not necessarily a course you want to play multiple times a week. This is one of those that is a bit easier, of course, but it still has its challenges, and especially when the wind is blowing, it's very challenging indeed.
Have you had to upgrade the course in the 30 years?
Yeah, for sure. It's one of the biggest focus points for us is the wear and tear that comes with that is, irrigation systems that were put in all those years ago that are using not necessarily the technology, but the materials like the piping all needs to be replaced.
But the basic layout hasn't changed?
No. There's been upgrades of the existing areas of the course, like the bunkers we've renovated and whatnot, but the design has stayed the same.
But I'm assuming that wear and tear of an Asian golf course is slightly different from European, because you have extra people walking on it, which is the caddies.
Yes, and a lot of people forget about that. So for every one round of golf, that's 4 pairs of feet, including the golfer and the caddy. So it all adds up, especially on the greens. When people are waiting to putt, a lot of people stand on the perimeter of the green, so you'll end up seeing a bit of wear and tear there. But just with a bit of proactive management and good systems in place, we have to keep the condition as good as we can, and also everything from equipment to, as I said, irrigation, drainage as well. We've got 2 very, very different seasons. As you can see, the rain has started already, so our drainage needs to be good.
And I wanted to ask you about the season. I mean, people coming, let's say, from Europe or America, when they hear about a downpour, it may last all day, or a tropical storm here can be very quick, can't it?
It can be very intense, but very quick. We often have it. It's come earlier this year than previous years, but you'll generally have maybe a 30-minute downpour, maybe even less. And then, sure enough, if the course has got good drainage, you can be back out there quite quickly.
But when you say quite quickly, how quickly?
Depends on how much rain you get. We had 5 centimeters of rain 2 days ago, so we can get people out there, but not driving on the fairways. So you have to give it another couple of hours for it to be,
Yeah, but I mean, if you're out there and you're in a kiosk and there's a downpour,
Yeah.
you have a few cold beers, and then
Yep.
20 minutes after it stops, it's okay to go back out.
Exactly. We delivered some bottles of red wine recently to some members on the kiosk who got stranded, and they drank a lot. So
yeah, that's a good idea. Now, you've had a big team working here to make this click. How many people actually are employed at this club?
we've got just under 350.
Really?
So it's a busy, predominantly members club, but as you know, we have a lot of international visitors as well through Golfasian, as well as other agents, selected agents. But we have 180 caddies.
Really?
So one caddy for every golfer. So we need to ensure we have plenty of the caddies. We're now in the process of preparing for the next high season. So we bring in a lot of whichever caddies we, in terms of the quota we need to fill, we bring them in.
Is it hard to find caddies?
It can be, I think, because we've been around for so long and we have a lot of caddies and staff who've worked here for so long. We have very good referral networks from the staff that already work here.
And they earn a good living.
They certainly can. I mean, the caddies who have been here for, not even for the longest time, but the caddies who perform well and work hard in the training and are able to build that sort of rapport with members and guests, they'll get booked out quite frequently. Some of them will caddy twice a day, every day. So,
really?
Yeah, it's possible for sure.
God, it must be very tiring.
Yeah, I mean, the caddies get to essentially work. They are, let's say they're like an independent contractor. So every golf club will charge a caddy fee. The caddy fee goes to the caddy. We don't take any of that. So if they wanted to take a week off work, they can, but you'll find that when it's as busy as it is during the high season, some of our caddies will work 3 months straight. Their choice, of course, but there's that much demand.
One question that's often asked by golf vacationers is how much do you tip the caddy? Because obviously, as you said, they get a fee, but the tip is quite important to their income.
It certainly is, yeah. And caddies take 100% of the tips. We don't touch any of that. Our recommendation, and it's kind of changing over time, but minimum we'd say is 500 baht. I kind of see in and around Bangkok, it's drifting up to 600 now.
So it's around about $15 to what, $20?
15 to 20 US dollars, yeah. And we always say it just starts from that, and then up to you if you want to add more based on your experience.
Well, if you get lots of birdies and a hole in one,
correct,
you're going to give them a lot more.
Yeah.
Now, this is quite a historical course because you've hosted a lot of major events here over the years.
Yeah.
Can you just explain to our viewers who's played here and what tournaments you've had?
Well, it spans back to 97, I want to say. Tiger won the Honda Asian Classic, I want to say. I've even got them written down here. The Asian Honda Classic, yeah. Then we had the Johnny Walker Super Tour.
Oh, Johnny Walker was big over here.
That's right. I think we had Vijay Singh was a champion. We even had Ernie Els playing as well. Then we've had a number of Thailand Opens. We had the Volvo Masters of Asia. We had the Aramco series of a ladies team event concept a few years ago now. And then last year we had the International Series, which is partnership between Asian Tour and Live.
Yeah.
So that was, in terms of prize money, was the highest prize money we'd ever had. That was a $2 million prize fund.
Right.
So compared to the Asian Tour, which is generally half of that, it was we had a good turnout.
Do you plan to have any more in the future?
I mean, it's almost become a tradition.
It's expensive though, isn't it?
It is. I think for us, it's always about the type of event and also the timing. Generally speaking, the events in Thailand for the bigger tours, they don't want to do it in the middle of the raining season, which is our low season.
Yeah.
It would be, so we've got to find the right compromise and the right time so that it doesn't eat away into too much time of our high season.
For your members?
Members, yeah, for everyone. I mean, that winter season from November to March is the golden time for playing golf. So if we take, the smaller events, maybe the course is closed for a week. The bigger ones, maybe 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks out of a month, half of a month, which with members are not allowed to play. So.
You've got a couple of plaques around the course, memories of what happened here. Tell us about those.
Yeah, the first one is on the 10th hole. Tiger hit it off the back tees. We don't use that tee apart from pro tournaments. He drove the green.
Did he?
He did.
How far was that?
You're testing me now, but it's nearly 360, something like that.
It's a long way.
A long way.
Yeah,
I was told he 3-putted after that though, so I'm sure he wasn't that happy.
Yeah.
And the other one was Ernie Els. He hit it over the back on the 18th, and it ran down across the path onto a little strip of grass right next to the clubhouse down there.
Really?
And he wedged it onto the green and made the putt. So
that's amazing, isn't it? I mean, it's always nice to be able to say I've played where Tiger's been.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
There's a few courses here. Well, there's only, I think, 2, isn't there, in Thailand?
The way he's played.
Blue Canyon.
And Alpine as well.
Oh, Alpine,
yeah,
right.
so,
Okay.
I mean, even nearly 30 years on, it's still, people associate it with us. So we're very fortunate for that.
Now, before we move on to you, one final question. The restaurant here is really run like a 5-star hotel. In fact, it used to be owned, I think, from a long time ago by a 5-star hotel, wasn't it?
Yeah. So for many years, it was part owned by the Peninsula Hotel Group. But so 4 years ago now, we made the separation. It's now fully owned by the Patara Prasit family. So, but nevertheless, the standards and the quality still, you can feel the same today as you did when it was.
Yeah, it's a top waitress sort of serving experience.
I mean, I think one of our differentiators is that we really focus on the hospitality, probably more so than your average golf club.
Yeah.
And each to their own. Everyone has their different focus, but for us, that's been our success. And I think the experience is what we sort of strive to achieve, rather than just the golf course side of things. So the F&B is a big part of
people enjoy coming to play a round of golf here, but they also look forward to a good meal with their friends afterwards. And your restaurant is often very full, isn't it?
Yeah. Especially with on the weekends. We've got most of our members play on the weekends. We've got a lot of Thai, a lot of Japanese, a very, very diverse membership base, which is, I think, also one of the strengths of Thai Country Club. And we're not the only club that has that, but on a Saturday afternoon, having lunch in there, it's
some of the elite of Thailand's economy come here.
Yeah. A place of privacy and good hospitality, and spend some time with friends or clients. Everyone's a bit different.
Now, you and I have known each other long time. The first time we ever met, I believe, was in Cambodia.
That's right.
Which was the Johnny Walker.
It was the Johnny Walker
and Tongjai one.
That is true.
Tongjai.
That's right.
But tell us what you've been up to since then, because you've been certainly moving around.
15 years ago, Mike.
But you've moved around a lot, haven't you? As a general manager.
I think, I came, when we met, that was 16 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
So that was my first job in Asia. I was looking for my big break. They were looking for a golf manager. Frankly speaking, I didn't have the expertise. I was just a young guy.
It was a good place to practice.
That's where I learnt my trade.
Yeah,
I used to tell everyone that. So after there, I went to work with IMG in China, did a pre-opening with them there. Then I went to Vietnam, to Banner Hills, which was still to this day one of the most incredible sights you've ever seen, with the mountain in the background.
And the floodlights.
So that was also pre-opening. Spent a bit of time here in Thailand. Then I went over to back to China, to Beijing, to a place called the Players Club, which was a ultra exclusive private club in the middle of Beijing, and was there through COVID as well. But in China, as a lot of people know, they essentially closed the borders and had their own way of managing.
So
everything.
Did people still play golf?
Record numbers. The business was booming. It was
well, COVID. You could say, although it's a dreadful thing to happen to the world, it's actually helped the golf industry tremendously, because it was muted as being the place to go out and get fresh air.
Exactly. The government put it on a list of things to do because you were running out of things to do, and sure enough, golf had a bit of a negative reputation at the time, because there was a lot of courses closing in China. But then they put it on the list. And it was great. We had a lot of new members that were joining over that 2-3 year period. So we actually looked at the numbers back in however many years ago when there was SARS. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And the number of golfers went up. COVID has the same impact.
And was the quality of the golf over in China the same standards as in Asia?
I think the clubs I was associated with, the quality was excellent. I mean, in terms of the design, all signature designers, construction was very, very good. No expense spared. So we were very fortunate. But a lot of the courses, there is a big mix. Golf is much more expensive there
Is it?
than it is here. So the memberships in the club, when I left, they were about $800, nearly $1 million to join. Lifetime memberships, but still, it's $1 million.
So after China, where was the next step here?
Yeah, so it came from there. I kind of sensed that I'd done 4 years there. We'd achieved some great things. I could sense that with the country changing their policy on COVID, and we'd kind of peaked. And this is an opportunity that was very appealing to me. You know, I've known Thai Country Club for many years. I know some of the staff. I know a lot of the members. So it's not something that's completely new to me.
Well, it's a Premier League club, and you took
is.
over from John.
There was a bit of time between that, but he was the last sort of long-term.
And then the previous general manager went on to Wentworth, wasn't it?
That was John, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, maybe in the next, who knows? So, final question. You play a lot of golf, luckily, because you're still young enough.
Who said that?
Give us a few tips on your favourite courses in Asia.
You've asked me this question before, and it's a hard one to answer, but
because you don't want to upset anybody.
No, not at all. I mean, it's really comes down to personal preference. I'm a big fan of. I like Clearwater Bay over in Hong Kong. I played Bali National a few times, which I've heard may have just closed actually.
Yes, it has.
Over in Bali, which again, you're in a sanctuary, you're in a different world. And then I've got to go back into the UK as well. One of my favourite courses was the Berkshire, the red course at the Berkshire, which was 6 par 3s, 6 par 4s, 6 par 5s. So I still have fond memories of that. But I haven't played golf in Japan yet, so that's a goal of mine for maybe this year. We'll take some members over there.
But in Thailand, I mean, my personal favourite is Red Mountain. Have you played Red Mountain?
I played it last week.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
And was that the first time?
No, I've played it a few times. It's a beautiful layout.
It's Walt Disney golf.
You bring enough golf balls. That's all I'll say.
Same as Samui.
Right.
Yeah.
It's fairway then jungle. Right. That's pretty much the.
So what's your sort of handicap at the moment?
Technically 1.
The handicap is that you don't have enough time because you're busy running.
No. All my cards go in. We have a very strict policy for.
So how many times do you play a week?
A week. Maybe a month, but I try to play a couple of times a month. So with members and different groups of members. Well,
your secretary, when I rang earlier, said that you were out on the course making an inspection, and I dug deeper, and it turned out you were actually playing golf.
You know me too well.
Anyway, Jack, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, and our clients love coming here.
Good.
I'm sure they'll continue to come here.
Good stuff. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Thank you.